Hi everyone, my name's Trudie, I'm a member of the IQ Bar team and I'm also one of the vloggers. This week's vlog is all about assessment, the big A word. This is a two-part vlog. If you want to find out more about AfL and how to use it in our lessons here at IQ Bar, check out Mark's vlog. In vlog 1, I discussed where AfL comes from, wrote down what it actually is, and discussed how it links to formative and summative assessment and what they mean, as well as looking at some of the benefits by covering some theory related to it and discussing the main processes of AfL. In this second vlog, I'll be covering the main principles, how they benefit the student, some general misconceptions and benefits, as well as some activity ideas and ways you could integrate AfL into the online classroom. So let's go over some of the key principles of AfL. At the start of any learning process, it's natural that the teacher will be doing a lot of the teaching, as it's probably an area that's new to the Brady. However, as the learning continues, the more the teacher should step back and let the Brady contribute more, give them the chance to use what they've learned without someone holding their hand all the time. Reflecting on the students is also important, which is where evidence, like our reviews, is so important. And this is where our reviews are so handy. For a regular Brady that you have, you may notice some differences. But if you have a lot of Bradys, it can be really difficult to remember every detail. But here, by looking at our reviews, you can look back and note the evidence and note the change. Equally, if they haven't made much progress in an area, you can identify it and find a way that they can work towards it. Sometimes with AfL, it means trying something new and stepping outside your comfort zone. And remember, it might not go perfectly the first time, but eventually you'll get there. It's important that underpinning AfL is that every learner can improve, and making our Bradys believe in that too. It's about more than just trophies, but obviously these are really important too. Consider that AfL may not only be new for you, but for your Brady, so how they react could differ. Give it time, and once they become used to using these processes, they'll soon become less foreign to them. Time is a massive factor in AfL. It's not about rushing learning, so the pace and structure of our lessons is really important here too. We don't have to finish all of our lesson content in one lesson at IQ Bar. If the learner needs more time, they need more time. This will give them the opportunity to improve in a supportive environment. There are loads of studies saying how good AfL is, and let's discuss some of the benefits that they list. It improves learner outcomes. It's suggested that effective formative assessment is one of the most important contributors to success in summative assessment, because learners know what good looks like and have the confidence to reach the standards. AfL increases confidence because learners understand that through hard work and determination, they can succeed both in education, professionally, and in life. It's great for those more able Bradys. So if you have a more able Brady, getting them to explain how they could tell something to someone else can help to develop their communication skills, but also reinforce their learning. It's like peer feedback, but without the other peer. It increases their independence. By being less passive, they're taking responsibility for their own learning, which should also mean that the learners are enthusiastic about learning, and then this leads to the end goal that I'm sure you'll have, to develop lifelong learners. It's a massive benefit for us. Yes, for us. It means we have more time to talk to them individually, and we have more time to reflect on the lesson and focus on what needs to be improved on. We're able to notice the kind of questions that they can answer and see how interested or difficult they find a topic, which is where our teacher talk time is really important. You won't have time to reflect if you're talking too much during the lesson, so let them have a bit more control. It changes the classroom culture. Because AfL supports a supportive and cooperative classroom, learners become less afraid of risks or mistakes, so they want to try some things new, and that means that they're able to reach their full potential. And our final benefit is that the learning objective is shared with the Brady. So for us, most of our lessons have a lesson title, which normally relates to the lesson itself. It's so important that on that first screen we see with the lesson title, that we get our Bradys to read this or we make a point of it in some way. I've seen so many of our buddies use this first slide on our lessons with the lesson topic as a means of assessment, so they can find out about the learner and what they know from the very beginning of the session. For example, I know before that I've had the topic My Home. We've talked about rooms, we've looked at pictures of the house. Straight away you can identify what the learner knows and how to pitch the rest of the lesson that you've already prepared for because you've already entered the class to check it out. Though planning is really important, so is being flexible and adaptable. It all comes hand in hand with teaching. So we can't talk about the benefits without talking about some of the common misconceptions of AfL. Often people think assessment and testing are the same, and they're not. You can assess a learner in many ways, one of which is formal testing, but as teachers we should be using a variety of formal and informal assessment, which we do by using questions, extension activities, our end of unit assessments. Basically, any activity which shows how well a student understands a concept is assessing their learning. Some people have this fear that we're going to lose control of our brain in our class because it's more about discussion. We're actually developing active learners, so they become more interested in the learning and then more focused. There's a misconception that assessment is a one-way process. No way. For us, it's better when the student takes a more active role as we have time to reflect on their performance and then encourage self-assessment, which means the student will value and recognise the importance of their efforts too. So let's look at some AfL activities. You're probably already doing lots of AfL in your classes, but if you want to try some specific AfL activities, here are some examples. The draw a face. This one's really nice and quick. If they draw a happy face, they're ready to move on. If they draw a neutral face, they're fairly confident. If they draw a sad face, they want to review the session. This might take some practice, but you could also say what you think at the beginning to help them. Summary sentence. Get them to say one sentence about what they learned from the topic. You could give them a sentence starter that they have to finish, or even get them to share a key word that they've learned from the lesson. Share it three things they've learned, and then one thing they found easy, one thing they found difficult, and one thing they would like to learn in the future. The most things. Basically a fill the gap. What was the most useful, interesting, surprising thing that they learned today? Questioning. Now I've mentioned questioning in my age appropriate vlog, so feel free to check that out too. But in regards to AfL specifically, here are some questions you might want to ask. And questions can help us identify and correct misunderstandings and identify any gaps. Remember, open-ended questions are key. Closed questions just ask learners to recall. Open encourage thinking skills and elicit more information, and they also encourage the use of full sentences, which is another teacher standard you can tick off. So examples are, is important? Why is X important? Why does? What if? How would you? Or can you explain? You might want to add these to your planning template as a note to remind you to incorporate AfL into your lessons. That's exactly what I've done. With questions, time is really important too. Remember, they need at least 30 seconds thinking time to respond. And get those higher order thinking skills from our buddies. So don't just ask, is X countable or uncountable? Ask, why is it uncountable? This will mean they have to recall and then reason. Prompt them with the big why question. Us as adults can often get fed up with the kids' why question. So now it's our turn. Remember, of all these activities I've just spoken about, it's about knowing your buddy, their age and their level, and deciding what's appropriate. It's not a one box fits all kind of thing. I really hope this has helped. Contact a member of the team if you'd like any more information. Happy teaching, guys. Bye.